Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this beautiful journey today. I am sitting here because I want to talk to you about the influences on life Pokemon has had. Not just for me, but for everyone out there. Pokemon is a super important thing to a lot of people, and me especially. It's a very positive influence on a lot of people's lives, and that's why I'm here to talk about it. Pokemon is seen a lot of times as a kid's game. And while that might be true to an extent, there's a lot of valuable lessons that can be learned and taken from Pokemon and applied all throughout life. That's why Pokemon is so important to me. That's why I have a Pokemon tattoo on my arm. And let's get right into it. Now, Pokemon influences life in a lot of ways. And the first way Pokemon has influenced my life is that it's taught me never to give up. One of the most vivid memories I have playing Pokemon is playing my Fire Red version, which Fire Red is a remake of the original Pokemon games, and I sat there for hours upon hours playing this game. And I remember there was a Moltres, which is a legendary bird, on one of the islands, and you're going there, and I tried so many times over and over and over again. As a kid, I didn't really understand the catching mechanics of Pokemon. My bad. It happens. So I didn't realize that if you damage this thing, it'll be easier to catch. They told me that early on. I didn't really read. Oops. So what I would just do is I would just chuck Pokeballs, normal Pokeballs at this thing, non-stop, because I didn't have any money at this point. I spent all my money trying to catch this Moltres with just a bunch of Pokeballs. I decided, oh, I'll have 99 Pokeballs and I'll just chuck it at this thing. And I had to try so many times. So many times. I actually lost my Fire Red version of the game before I caught Moltres. And years later, it might have been years later, it might have been a month later, I don't know, time's distorted as a kid. I found my game version, Fire Red version. I found it, and I finally caught Moltres. I was so excited. I was this little kid, I was excited. All that time of hard work, just constantly grinding, even though it looked like it wasn't going to happen, I just kept grinding at it, kept going, kept doing it, kept throwing these Pokeballs, and then finally, it got in the ball. So I was thinking to myself, alright, awesome. The other problem I had with Pokemon, when I was a kid as well, is I could not beat, in Fire Red as well, I could not beat, you beat the Elite Four, these elite trainers, and you face the champion, who is your rival, who's kind of making fun of you this whole way, you know, smell you later, his catchphrase and all that stuff. So finally, I go there, I'm fighting my rival, and I can't beat him. No matter what I do, I just can't beat him. Instead of going out and grinding, like, you know, an adult, you know, you think, oh, I should, you know, make all my Pokemon stronger. I should go out there and grind to make my Pokemon stronger. As a kid, I just said, no, I'm just going to throw myself at this wall over and over and over again until I beat it. Eventually I did. That's the thing, Pokemon taught me from a young age in very weird ways, unintended ways, in all honesty, unintended ways not to give up. Yeah, it might have been easier for me to go and grind out a Pokemon other than my Charizard, who everyone knows you had a Charizard and it's the only Pokemon you used. That's what kids do. You have your favorite Pokemon, you only use that, so it's your only high-level Pokemon. So I just use my Charizard. So when you're fighting against a rival who has the opposite Pokemon of you, who will destroy you no matter what, it's made so that you're supposed to have other Pokemon that are stronger. But as a kid, you don't want to use anything else. You want to use your best friend Charizard. So you sit there and you grind it out, and you grind it out, and you grind it out, you throw your head against the wall, and you don't give up. You take them out. It may take you 100 tries. It may take you 200 tries. You just need the right combination, you need the right luck, you need the right everything to go right. You just need everything to go right. And eventually it does. And yeah, I could have stepped away. I could have grinded my other Pokemon out. It would have been guaranteed that I would have won. But after those 200 tries, you have a deeper connection with your Pokemon. You have a deeper connection with these fake things. You have a deeper connection with your friends. At the end of the day, that victory, throwing my head against that champion, 200 times, 200 plus times. At the end of the day, charging headstrong into that champion 200 times until I won, until I beat him down, until I was finally the champion, using just my Charizard and maybe a couple others to revive my Charizard, besides the point. That was the sweetest victory. I stuck to my gut, and I just sat there and grinded, did not give up. And then you feel amazing when you win. That's the other thing about Pokemon. I talk about this Charizard friend, who might not have been the best choice for that. He might not have been the best choice to take on Blastoise. This fire creature taking on a water creature, obviously he's not going to be the best choice. But he's your friend. He's your best friend. You don't want to take that opportunity away from your friend. You don't want to do that. You believe in your friend to take down anything in his way. He might not be the strongest Pokemon. Your favorite Pokemon might be Jumpluff. Statistically, one of the weakest Pokemon. Move-wise, one of the weakest Pokemon. But he's your favorite. So you're going to sit there, you're going to believe in him, and you're going to do it as many times as you can to prove to yourself, to that champion that's a code in a game, that your friend has what it takes. And I'm not the only one who does this. A lot of kids when they play Pokemon, they sit there and they pick their starter, Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur at the end of the journey is what it ends up being. And you only use that one starter because you have such a connection with him, right? You started your journey with him. You saw how amazing, how cool he was. You saw what he did throughout your journey, and you don't want to give up on him. You only use him. You don't necessarily want to move on to a different Pokemon, use a different Pokemon. So you just sit there and you only use that one Pokemon, and all of a sudden he's level 75, and your next closest Pokemon is level 40. So when you go to the champion, good luck, but you believe in him. And you grind and you bash your head against the wall until he does his work. Pokemon teaches patience. Most kids don't have heartbreak early on in their life. Most kids don't experience heavy loss early on in their life. Most kids don't deal with these heavy feelings. They don't necessarily have to deal with these hardships in life. But what they have to deal with is not being able to catch Moltres. They have to deal with not being able to beat the champion. And I truly believe these things build up resilience. It built up resilience in me. Built up resilience in a bunch of kids. You learn not to give up because of Pokemon instilled in you at an early age. Yes, there's a bunch of other things that go into it. There's a bunch of other things in my life that made me as resilient as I am, made me say I'm not giving up on whatever aspect of my life it is. But Pokemon kind of sows the seeds early on. And I think that's important. Another thing Pokemon taught me, and this is a more recent development, was patience. Pokemon taught me patience. Not just not to give up, but also patience. Knowing that something will come eventually if you just wait. And patience is a difficult thing for a lot of people. You want results now. You want it now. I want this thing in my life to be perfect now. I need it now, but that's not how life works. And Pokemon, in a weird way, taught me that. My junior year at college, I started playing Pokemon Crystal on my Nintendo 3DS. There was a virtual console release for it. And this game's super special because it allows you to transfer Pokemon finally from Crystal version into future versions of the game. So I thought it would be an awesome idea to just sit there and get shiny versions of all the legendary. Shinies are just alternate colors of Pokemon. Nothing else special about them, they're just different colored. And it's 1 in 8,000 chance, essentially, simplified down. It's 1 in 8,000 chance to get one. So I'd save in front of a legendary Pokemon, and I would encounter the legendary Pokemon, see its color. If it wasn't shiny, restart. And I did that for Celebi and Lugia went super quick. I was so excited. I got them so fast. I was like, oh, this is going to be cakewalk. And then I started on the third legendary Ho-Oh. And Ho-Oh took forever. I was double, probably triple odds. I didn't count, but I know I was well over 8,000 resets on this thing. And there were so many times I was like, man, I don't think I'm going to get this. I think I should quit. I think I should give up. But I didn't. I sat there. I was patient. I knew eventually it has to be shiny. Eventually it has to. And finally, I remember I was driving up from New Orleans. I was in the passenger seat. Obviously I wasn't playing Pokemon while I was driving. I was in the passenger seat. We were driving up from New Orleans. And finally I got the shiny Ho-Oh. Amazing looking Ho-Oh. And I had such a rush. I was so happy. Yeah, it's just a different color Pokemon. It's nothing crazy. It's just a different color. But I put in the time. I was patient enough, and it paid off. I got what I wanted. Because I was patient. And that paid off greatly with how it made me feel. In the middle of me ranting about Ho-Oh. Basically, all I wanted to say was that Ho-Oh, I didn't care about Ho-Oh until that experience. Ho-Oh made me feel, this sense of pride and happiness that I was able to stick through that time. I was able to be patient, not rush the process, not get frustrated. I let it take its course, do its thing. I trusted the process, and eventually paid off. And it gave me a rush of excitement, of joy, of happiness, and that's why Ho-Oh is now one of my favorite Pokemon, and definitely my favorite legendary. Now, patience and hard work, the grind, are just some of the life experiences Pokemon can teach kids and adults alike. I was 21 when the Ho-Oh experience happened. It happened just over a year ago. Pokemon can teach a lot of other lessons, and my favorite involves this little guy right here. This is a Magikarp. For those uninitiated, Magikarp on paper is one of the worst Pokemon it can be. It has terrible stats, and it doesn't really get even an attacking move, a real attacking move, until it's either 10 or 15. It gets Tackle, which is, again, like the worst attacking move. All he can do until then is splash around, which does literally nothing in the game. Unless you use all your splashes up. Then he can use a move. Any Pokemon can use a move if they use all their other moves up. He uses a move called Struggle. And there's something poetic, really poetic about that. This weak Pokemon has to struggle his way through these levels, through life, until he evolves into something greater. And when Magikarp evolves, he evolves into one of the most ferocious, beautiful, majestic, terrifying Pokemon out there. Gyarados. Gyarados is known as one of the, and still today, one of the most terrifying and strong Pokemon out there. Competitively, Gyarados is still used. Gyarados is this dragon, this tiny fish who can only splash and struggle, turns into this majestic dragon. You get through the struggle, and you evolve into something greater, something stronger, something scary to some people maybe. But that's the beauty about Pokemon. You don't judge the book by its cover, really. Sure, this derpy looking fish might look unassuming. It might even seem unassuming when you battle with it. But at the end of the day, it's going to keep grinding, it's going to keep struggling until it evolves into something greater than itself. Until it evolves to its true potential. And that's why I think Magikarp is the greatest lesson Pokemon can teach anyone. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't give up on people. And if you yourself are struggling, keep struggling. Struggling is what builds that dragon. Struggling is what builds that power. Struggling is what builds that greatness inside of you. And once you get through that struggle, you're going to be better for it. I think that's beautiful. I think all the lessons Pokemon can teach us are beautiful, and these are just a couple of them. I just barely scratched the surface. This is all off the top of my head, and I'd like to do a follow-up video eventually. This is all off the top of my head, no real script or anything, just a couple ideas in my head that I wanted to bounce around because I feel so passionately about this. Pokemon is such a positive influence. I think everyone should play a Pokemon game at some point, and even if it might seem simple to some people, it can teach you a lot of things if you just let it. I wanted to upload more videos coming soon, focusing on positive things like this. Pokemon has been such a positive influence in my life. I think it was necessary for me to do a video like this. I want to do more videos on positive video games and positive experience in my life. Most of it is video game stuff, but I also do want to do it on other things maybe too. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, it was rambling off the top of my head. Maybe the next one I'll make a script, but I think I came across my ideas concisely and good and clear, and I hope you enjoyed. And remember to catch them all. Have a good day, guys. Love y'all.